What is good, you guys? Your boy Ben Mahari here, representing Mahari Nation Sports Podcast. I hope y'all had a good Thanksgiving weekend. Hope you guys been staying safe. Hope you guys didn't eat too much and prepare for the holiday season, man, because it's going to get real crazy. But I really wanted to get into this subject here because it's still still the most talked about subject in sports, politics, whatever you want to put it. But I intentionally did not want to make any videos about this because, there was going to be so much to digest and try to break down. I'm typically a person that likes to let things, play itself out, then make a proper analysis of the whole thing and try to give my whole interpretation and my 2 cents of the situation. I'm not the type of person that's going to do a video just for views or anything like that. I like to let things play out. I like to, look at things from a different point of view and then make my analysis about it. Now, you knew I was gonna talk about this, and I just wanted to wait this out before I made my video. But here's my 2 cents of the situation. Kyrie Irving, to me, in my perspective, exposed the big double standard here in the United States. And I'm gonna tell you why that is. The reason why I'm saying that is that Kyrie Irving exposed something that many people have not realized. And I know a lot of the pro black channels, have pretty much explained that very thoroughly. But the thing that I had a problem with the whole situation was is that how much the media tried to smear and try to denigrate and try to label Kyrie Irving as this bad person or this evil maniacal human being when he is the complete opposite of that. You know what I mean? Now listen, I always been the person that you have to be careful what you post on social media because there's always going to be vultures out there that's going to look to try to bring you down. But in this situation here, I saw nothing wrong with what Kyrie Irving did. Now, look, we all know about the film. And I can tell you right now that for my 2 cents, I actually watched the entire documentary that Kyrie Irving shared on Amazon. And I will say that there were a lot of things in the film that could have been broken down into parts that would have made much more of a clearer uh, explanation about the point of view about Black Hebrew Israelites and all that other stuff. But not one time that I ever felt that the film was anti-Semitic at all. That's just my interpretation. I know there's going to be a lot of people that have a different opinion about it. Whatever you choose to take, it don't matter. But the way that the media attack Kyrie Irving was just vicious beyond belief. And listen, this is what I'm talking about when I pretty much say that there's a huge double standard in this country because you notice the media coverage of Kyrie Irving nonstop. But right now, you have Jerry Jones who literally has been exposed for a picture he was a picture that was pretty much shown by the Washington Post, literally as a 14-year-old participating in the protest of stopping integration of schools in his hometown of Little Rock, Arkansas. And let me take it another step further. What about Brett Favre? The man has been under ruthless investigations for stealing money from the poor, from the poorest state in America, Mississippi. But you see the lack of coverage that story has been getting. You have to understand something here. They give out major protections for people for who have the same skin complexion or the same ideology. And many times you have to notice these things, especially when you're watching sports media. And for me that studied journalism when I was in college, I noticed that all the time. And it gets to the point where it gets repetitive and it gets very annoying to the point where you're just not even hiding your biases anymore. And when people were ripping Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley for their own sentiments, I wasn't surprised at all. Literally, I wasn't. Because the thing is, you have to realize these people are company men. And throw Shannon Sharp in there too. Because you have to realize these guys are company men. They're basically working for the status of the network. They know that their income and everything they produce is coming off of the network. Maybe not Shaquille O'Neal because he basically is his own businessman, but you guys get the point. The point is, these guys are company men and they had to pretty much toe the company line to keep their money in line. And if it's something they say something out of pocket or something out of the norm that people expect from them, then they're going to go in on them and do whatever they can to take everything of their livelihood away from them. And I've seen that many times in my life, and it's still going on today. Just look at what happened to Mahmoud Abdul Rauf and Craig Hodges in the NBA. Those are the greatest examples of this. But my issue with the whole thing is that the one thing that really irritated me about the whole situation was is that people didn't take the time to ask and pretty much give Kyrie Irving a chance to speak for himself. They immediately labeled him as anti-Semitic when in actuality he never said anything or did any sort of action that's warranted that label. And the one thing that really tripped me out was that the serious demands that the Brooklyn Nets organization made him do to try to get him back into the team. And that was the I'm gonna just pretty much say it, and I don't really care what anyone else thinks. That was pretty much the modern day lynching in a big broader sense. And people are gonna misquote that like, oh, what do you mean? There's no such thing as lynching here in this country anymore. We're way past that. Nope. Don't even give me that. There's still plenty of modern day segregation, modern day white supremacy, modern day lynching as it gets. Just look at what's been going on with the police and how they handle African American people. That's all you need to see. All right. So when I looked at the list of demands that they were making them do, it made me scratch my head. Like, really? Did you give that same demands when it came to Brett Favre? Did you give that same kind of demands to Ben Roethlisberger? Did you give that same kind of demands to any other white athlete that pretty much did worser crimes than what Kyrie Irving did, and you didn't make those guys go through all those hoops to get back reinstated back into their own respective leagues? Like, come on, you guys! It's literally a double standard right then and there. And for anyone that tries to pretty much deny that portion of that, like, dude, you really are being ignorant. All right. And the other thing too that really irritated me the most out of anything else, and this is something that I think it needs to be discussed even more, the fact that many of these platforms are trying to censorize free speech or having the ability to have these kind of conversations when it comes to understanding the role of uh, Jerusalem, Christianity, or any other religion you practice. They're trying to censor that out in on social media and on the internet, and it's really coming to a head now because particularly when it comes down to it is I really believe that people have the right to have these kind of respectful dialogues. But when it comes across the hate speech, that's where the line gets blurred. And the problem here is who can determine what is hate speech, what is considered hate speech in people's minds? Because I'm here to tell you, not many people have a clear idea of what hate speech is. There's always going to be there's always going to be people that are going to have different interpretations of that. And the thing that really has been the most frustrating thing about this whole situation here is that nobody has given Kyrie Irving an opportunity to speak for himself and explain what his viewpoints were. I never heard him say anything derogatory about Jews or anything like that. It never came out of his lips. All he said was he said he shared a film that pretty much he agreed with. And the other thing, and here's the other snippet, I think a lot of these mainstream media outlets have pretty much ignored. They dismissed the fact that Kyrie Irving says there's certain things in the film that I do agree with, but there's a majority of the information in the film I disagree with. The same with kind of with Alex Jones. When people try to label Kyrie Irving as like a hateful person because he side with Alex Jones, listen, he only agreed on one particular thing what Alex Jones said. And he explained why he did it. But at the same time, what people do, they just jump to conclusions and they don't take the opportunity to speak to him and try to have a conversation with him about why he made that kind of stance. Unfortunately, that's pretty much the norm of today's society. People like to jump the gun and jump to conclusions without having a conversation with the person that said it and pretty much understand their point of view. And this is the problem that America is dealing with, particularly in this generation. And you could pretty much say through all generations if we're really being honest here. But yeah, I am just I'm just bewildered at people when they pretty much say like, "Well, Kyrie Irving deserved what he get because because he's anti-Semitic." Man, stop it. He never said anything anti-Semitic. He never said anything derogatory. If he did, then all bets are off. But he never did. So we need to stop labeling that. But also the other thing too is that when it comes to punishment and when it comes to dealing with these kind of situations, we need to stop putting these people like the Anti-Defamation League and all these other Jews organizations in a higher pedestal. Because the bottom line here is that they've had dirt on themselves historically, and they've had all sorts of, racial, you know, tactics that they've done against black people historically. And people like to ignore that and dismiss that. But the thing that really, bothered me about this is that, you know, people don't take the opportunity to really understand what the components of racism that's been going on in this country. And unfortunately, black people have pretty much experienced the most of it. All right. And it's not sitting here to say that what unfortunately Jews went through in the Holocaust wasn't that bad, because obviously it was. Of course it is. But we can't sit here and dismiss the fact that Jews to this day still get reparations. Even today, even America still pays them reparations, while African Americans never even received 1 cent in any generation of this time here in the United States. And black people have been the ones that suffered the most out of any other race in America. And what they get, zero. That's why the issue of reparations has been pretty much at the forefront of this generation. And now the conversation is starting to get stronger and stronger and stronger, especially when it comes to the newer generation who have much more of a voice, and they have the ability to use platforms that pretty much voice those kind of concerns. And the big thing here is that more and more African Americans get engaged and start becoming much more politically savvy in terms of figuring out who are the people that need to be represented in their own respective states and cities to push the issue of reparations at the forefront. You're going to see more and more, blacks, generate basically foundational black Americans pretty much going in there and pretty much voicing them, listen, if you don't give us what we want, we're not voting for you. And I think that's the big, big difference here today than unfortunately it wasn't the case generations prior. But to conclude the video about this, I don't see anything Kyrie Irving did wrong. And he got ripped to the gills for basically just showing his religious beliefs and what he believes in. Just because he doesn't view your ideology. Here's the deal. Let me rephrase that. Just because he has a different ideology than you doesn't mean that he's being an evil person, or he's being a racist, prejudiced, or anti-Semitic. It doesn't mean that at all. He just has a different point of view that doesn't align with your point of view is. But it doesn't mean you have to dismiss it and label it as something that is evil and despicable. All right. So let's cut the nonsense on the anti-Semitic BS once and for all. But that's just my 2 cents. I know there's going to be a lot of people that's going to disagree with my sentiments. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And with that, I'm out. Peace.